being condescending. You've been warned, alright? Let's move forward amicably.
Okay, well, check this out, though. First of all, you throwing too many big words at me. Okay, now, because I don't understand them, I'm gonna take them as disrespect. Watch your mouth and help me with the saying.
Okay, see, now you found yourself a nigga. You looking for a nigga? Nigga here now, see?
My mind is so spectacular. Open up your aperture. You don't like the light that I be shining, bitch, you Dracula. Southern draw vernacular. Flip you like a spatula. Knew that I was built to put this word up on my scapula. I've been on this road so long, my tires bald. I don't wanna text and no, I don't wanna call. Came in this shit running, bitch, I don't know how to crawl. We ain't never folding, I'm holding the highest car. Look, okay, grew up running post routes. Now I'm on the cash route. Better call the plumber, that boy spitting like a bass spout. All these bad women in this club, fuck is you mad about? Word to all my estheticians, boy, I'm about to lash out. Straight from St. John's to the east side, jigging since the knee high. Watch the way I put on for my state, nigga, yeehaw. Respecting no one retard. Crazy how I made it to the league from the bleach eyes. Boy, my shit hair on, black, rich, and bare arms. Smoking on that yogi, this shit stronger than some bare arms. Goku, I'm in rare form, you cannot prepare for him. When I swing, it's like a carnivore, this shit ain't fair for him. Brought intellect back to this rap shit. You niggas need chapstick. Shit been dropping way too long, and I'm the matchstick. You niggas Nickelodeon me, I'm more like Cap Nick. Cap a nigga, throw him in front of me. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said that I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. About to blow like we just lit the fuse. We double dutch into this dough, I get this shit in twos. Push the button, get it started, put that shit in cruise. A little dust up on his heart, I barely get to use. A fool flatters himself, a wise man flatters a fool. Man, I just came to get it started like mechanics with tools. Cause in my hood, if you don't pack a tool, you planning to lose. These young boys deserve Oscars, they be acting a fool. A couple loose screws, but they hammer accurate. Ooh, I know some niggas stuck on drugs and manufacture it too. School of hard knocks, we all got our bachelor's, fool. No cap and gowns, but we all had the master. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said it, I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. I'm dumb lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh rack, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no brake lights. Say she don't smoke, but she always smoke with me, yeah. Back with Finny, yeah, back up in the ovaries, yeah. All my ops, they stay running like they over easy, yeah. Even my masseuses can't just get too close to me, yeah. Shout out to Next, soon as the ink dry, we count out the checks, yeah. I never flex, I bought up a business, you bought up a section. I'm at the top of my class, yeah. Y'all never learn from your lessons. Skywalker gave me the force, yeah. Turn this into an obsession, yeah. I couldn't wait on the team, cooking shit up with just me rolling flag, yeah. Things never are what they seem, but we know the facts, yeah. Charging that shit to the game, but now I pull up with a battery pack, yeah. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, and we can just leave it at that. I'm dumb lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh rack, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no brake lights. Big bro, why they call you big bro? Every time we hit the bank, we deposit zip codes. Well connected with the streets like we out in Skid Row.
This season is up to this point, man, it hasn't been what we envisioned. I know my goal when I first signed with Philadelphia was to bring a championship to these amazing fans here. I still remain positive about that, and that is still the case and where I'm coming from. With that being said, though, I want to let the Podcast P family know that after today's episode with Dwight, I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, getting mentally right, and, help this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out, give ourselves a chance to be in contentions to compete for a championship.
Far right fingers, his ring finger and his pinky taped together because of a finger sprain of sorts. As Paul George gets us started, PG laying it up and in.
Yeah. This is PG going right at Anunoby. The help coming over. Kind of motion, rhythm in his game. Keeps the defender, in this case, Kelly, just off balance.
PG straight on triple is good for George.
That would be fourth grade. I think I was somewhere like around maybe 5'5". I was 5'8" in fifth grade. I remember that.
Paul George.
Chua looking to check in.
Paul George with some space, and he rattles in the tray.
And Anunoby, I don't know if he got caught napping there, but he was late.
No gas support. PG in the box, clears some space, and hits the elbow fade away.
From the floor, regains that loose ball possession, and the other end of the floor translates to an elbow jumper from PG to yours.
So he's got 6 now off the bench. PG with a side step triple, and Paul George is feeling it now in this third quarter. Anunoby over the outstretched arm of Vecino, dropping the rebound.
The challenge for Tyrese just to get a hand up on that OG attempt.
Paul George inside out dribble, and PG splitting the defense, putting it up and in. Defense leading to offense in this second half.
Anunoby thinks he's got an open look, but Tyrese comes over to help. Look at that great challenge, forces the miss. Sixers secure the rebound, and the other end of the floor, PG splits the two defenders. Dribble penetrator gets into trouble.
New York. George into the paint, somehow gets it up and in. A highlight reel play for Paul George. And then Oubre to steal.
3-on-2.
Kelly into PG, steps back, and hits it. 5 quick ones for Paul George.
Front. The desire to get back to shooting in person with my guys as well is the forefront of, this hiatus as well. I look forward to us 3 being back together and doing this as we once started this. So we'll be back on that note. Be sure to lock in with us because we got some big things in store in our future. In the meantime, y'all be easy. From Podcast P, love and peace.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull-Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, a.k.a. B. Just before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos, hit that like button as we come in here. Hit the share, subscribe, hit that Cash App, $, Slick Rick 1991 Son, $, Slick Rick 1991 Son is our Cash App. Go to our Cash App right there. If you guys don't have Cash App, you guys can also go to our super stickers and super comments that are available. Very, very simple. All you guys got to do is make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that $ symbol button in the chat box right there. Y'all can donate that way as well. But we're going to get it popping, man, with this video, man. Just want to kind of talk to you a little bit about this. So as y'all just saw, what I just put up was just some clips of last night's game between the Knicks and the Sixers, which this is a pre-recorded video. This ain't live. So I'm doing this just as a pre-recorded. I'm actually doing this before the LA Clipper, the after game. I was doing it. I'm going live in about less than an hour. So I had some time to put this video out here because I didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday. But Paul George, star player for the Philadelphia 76ers, made an announcement that he will be taking a break from his podcast coming up here for the duration of the season, or, whatever happens if they make it to the playoffs, whatever the case may be. And the title of this video is did Paul George shut his podcast down a little bit too late? Now, if we look at Paul George's production from the far course, we had Paul George last year, LA Clipper fans, LA Clipper audience that had Paul George last season. And it was a very, very hefty breakup. I think a lot of people still kind of a little bit upset how he left. I see people on Twitter and social media who still, speak about him, and I understand it. When a player of that caliber leaves your franchise in the way he left, a lot of people can kind of have some, sour taste in their mouth. So you still kind of see that right now with, his season not being the best individually. Obviously, we know he's been dealing with injuries, and obviously we know that he's been, not playing his best, in and out the lineups, stuff like that. Hurt 3 different times. So we definitely put all that stuff in account, but it doesn't matter. The Sixers are still one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. They're not living up to expectations to what they were supposed to be at the beginning of the season. If we look at the standings here, the Sixers right now are the 12th seed, which they're approximately 2.5 games out to play in. So because of the disappointments and how they've been playing as a team, how they've not been gelling, how there's 2 of their main guys have been in and out, especially Joel Embiid, the Sixers have been pretty much a disappointment all year, losing up to almost 50 points against the Chicago Bulls, the team that we played last night, and beat. The Sixers have not been able to prevail since then. So Paul George came out yesterday. It was actually, I'm pretty sure the episode aired a few days ago, last week, where that episode aired. But I'm going to let y'all hear again for the people that just came in what Paul George said and how he worded it his last episode with Podcast P.
Fellas, it's no secret. This season is up to this point, man. It hasn't been what we envisioned. I know my goal when I first signed with Philadelphia was to bring a championship to these amazing fans here. I still remain positive about that, and that is still the case and where I'm coming from. With that being said, though, I want to let the Podcast P family know that after today's episode with Dwight, I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, getting mentally right, and, help this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out, give ourselves a chance to be in contentions to compete for a championship.
So I'm gonna stop it right there. So as y'all come in, make sure y'all smash that like button. So PG has taken a break from the podcast according to his last episode last week, and he basically said the reason why is because of what how the team has been falling apart and how the team has not been looking the way it's been looking. Now it's supposed to be envisioned. He said he's going to take time to get his body right more and more, which he kind of echoed that right before the All-Star break. But, he basically made this this claim after yesterday, right before the game against the Sixers, against the Knicks. So I'm going to let y'all hear the second part of it, and we're going to continue.
Yeah. I won't front. The desire to get back to shooting in person with my guys as well is the forefront of, this hiatus as well. I look forward to us 3 being back together and doing this as we once started this. So we'll be back on that note. Be sure to lock in with us because we got some big things in store in our future. In the meantime, y'all be easy. From Podcast P, love and peace.
So as y'all come in, make sure y'all hit that like button. So there y'all had it right there. Y'all heard it from PG that he is going to be taking a break from podcasting right now. So I'm gonna let y'all kind of read something, a little bit of the article by Tim Bontemps, and it says right here, 76er Paul George expounds on decision to put podcasts on hold. So he said after the Philadelphia 76ers dropped their 9th straight game on Wednesday against a 110-105 loss to New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden, Paul George expanded on his recent decision to stop podcasting, saying it was about putting his full focus to try to get his team together. So there's a quote by George. He said it was more just focus on here, said George, who had 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists in 42 minutes against the Knicks. A game that saw the Philadelphia rally from 19 down to take the lead late before falling short. I haven't been the healthiest, so it's just been putting a ton of work, just getting my body healthy as possible, and to just keep focused on obviously being here and trying to keep turn things around here. And the full focus is trying to get this team together. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna actually play a little bit of a clip of his last game against the Bulls where he's shown a different tune and speaking about how the Sixers were and how they were competing. But right now he's saying that, he wants to get off podcasting and give his team more focus, thinking that, it would be better, for his, body and how to be healthier and stuff like that. He continues by saying, but we give ourselves a chance, take it one game at a time, but we got to give ourselves a chance to see what we can do down the stretch. And I think the Sixers have 24 games left in the season. He said Wednesday was a far different showing than Monday's absolute beatdown at the hands of the Chicago Bulls in Philadelphia, where the Sixers trailed by as many as 50 points and weren't competitive from the opening tip. So he said after that game, George, who put his last episode of Podcast P with Paul George earlier that morning, said the Sixers have shown no sign of a team willing to compete. We just don't have the habits of a champion or playoff contending team would have. To be honest, right now, this is a little bit far-fetched. So that's what happened. After that game, I'll let y'all actually hear, his comments actually in video real quick, so y'all can kind of, put things together. All right, so I'm gonna let y'all hear what Paul George said after this loss to the Chicago Bulls, where he opened up and said that, I'm gonna let y'all hear it. I'm gonna let y'all hear what y'all thoughts about. This was a game after the Chicago Bulls lost their 8th straight game. So here we go.
The change need to be to take a step in the right direction?
Just got to be more dialed in, more effort, more energy, and more pride on the defensive end. Again, same conversations we've been having of low communication. It baffles me just how easy we give up layups in this league. Don't understand it.
These issues that keep cropping can be worked on, or is it just something that something like a switch has to flip inside of guys?
I think it's both. To answer the question, I think it's both. We have to want to do it, and it's something that needs to be worked on.
Do you think there's any sense that everyone's all in, or do you feel like, given that you guys are down by 50, you're still out and playing tournament, that like people resign to the fact the season might be winding down?
I don't want to believe that.
If you were in an accident and it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, I don't sense that in this locker room, and I don't want to believe that.
Before tonight, do you get the sense that guys just mentally weren't there? Like Nick was saying, you guys are going through, a lot this season, but do you get the sense that from the gate, guys just weren't there?
I didn't feel it. I didn't feel, at least to start the game, or at least the locker room, or the feeling here felt like any other day of preparation.
So I want y'all to kind of hear. I'm gonna stop it right there. So basically, Paul George is saying like they are, like this is after the game they got beat by the Bulls. I think this was on Monday night, if I'm not mistaken. They got absolutely destroyed by a team that's a playing team who really is right in front of them in the standings, that they beat in earlier this season. I believe two separate times. They beat the Bulls 2 times this season. So they go from that to getting destroyed on their own home court in a game that they need to start winning games. So because of that, you guys hear Paul George's tune, like, he don't know what's the situation, what's going on, but he doesn't really feel that's anything in the locker room is discombobulated. He don't want to believe that this team is still not a playoff contention team. All that, and that's why I'm answering this question. Is it too late? Paul George shutting down his podcast. We're going to get right into that. I'm going to let y'all hear what the rest of PG has to say.
Day of preparation, getting ready for a game. So to be honest, I'm not quite sure, just what fell apart to give up 140 points at home against the Chicago Bulls.
Well, Nick mentioned about you guys can be more, professional by games and things like that. I guess you kind of agree with that for that statement.
You can always be more professional. I think that's a pretty general statement. We can always be more professional.
I mean, you guys came out of the break saying, hey, we still had a chance to make a play-in push to have the first 3 out of the break go like.
So this is the part where everybody had the quote, where he said what he said. That was kind of like, this was the highlighted part of the interview right here. So I'm gonna let y'all hear the highlighted part, what he had to say. So here it is.
Like this, I guess, just how shocking, surprising, disappointing, whatever adjective you want to put on it?
I mean, it's all of it. You know, we, regardless of who's playing, who's not playing, to have admirations or for this group to believe that we can be not even, to get to the playoffs, but make a push towards it. I mean, we've shown no sign of a team that will compete, and we just don't have the habits of a champion or a playoff contending team would have. So to be honest, right now it's a little far fetched. All we can do is work hard and try to just keep going for one another, but we've shown no signs of forget championship, but a playoff contending, team here.
How confident? Outside of injuries, why do you confident are you? Why do you think that is? Outside of injuries, why do you think that is? Why do you think that?
We wouldn't be in this position if I knew. Don't know.
We're going to stop it right there. As y'all come in, make sure y'all hit that like button. So the question is, did Paul George shut his podcast down a little bit too late? And I want to bring this, like I said, I want to bring this interview out because this is 48 hours separate from the announcement that came out that Paul George was shutting down his podcast. Now, you guys have to remember a couple of things about these podcasts. As y'all know about mine, this is a pre-recorded video. Podcasters have pre-recorded videos all the time. And if y'all watch the interviews, Paul George, they air every single Monday, but I think the week before, that's when they actually, they air every Wednesday, but every Monday, they're actually released to the public. But they do pre-recorded videos days before. So I'm going to let y'all read something real quick. And then I'm going to get into my thoughts about him shutting down his podcast and things of that nature. And the timing of it and, just is it too late and things of that nature. So I'm going to continue to go on to this article right here. They said, while the 76ers defeat Wednesday night extended their losing streak beyond 3 weeks, the performance was a step in the right direction. And for George, who was his best game in a month, it came after his podcast announcements, which he said he had been thinking about for some time. Quote is, it was something I was kind of racking in my head a little bit just because of being new to the city, being acclimated to Philadelphia. George said it just came to a point where it was like, all right, this is the time to take a step back forward, take a step forward, take a take a step back for a second. All right. So this part right here, that's quotation marked. It was something that kind of was racking in my head a little bit just because of being new to the city, being acclimated to Philadelphia. George said it just came to the point where I was like, all right, this is the time to kind of take a step back for a second. Now, everybody got their thoughts about it. Obviously, Twitter ate this up. Social media ate this up. YouTube, hell, ESPN even wrote a story about it. It's no secret, whatever Paul George really says at this point, no matter how little it is or how big it is, it's going to definitely be a story. Ever since really the playoff P comments back in 2019, everything he done said has been documented. It's been, stated. It hasn't been forgotten. You talk about the 2020 bubble. That was documented. You talk about, like I said, playoff P comments. You talk about, up this season where he called the Clippers the B team. You talk about where he said, just right recently, talking about he was bored because he didn't want to play center. You talk about, he even a couple weeks ago that, he was going to go on a vacation and he was going to go over to, get his body right. So whatever he says pretty much is going to be documented. Reasons why I can just only guess because, he's not shy about, stating how he feels. And, it's just like we live in a society today that everything has to be stated, everything has to be written about. So they want to make the juiciest story. And PG's comments just simply has, the most juice to it. So I mean, that's pretty much what it is. So that's why we're here. My instant reaction to when him shutting the podcast down, I was a little bit shocked because the timing of it, not so much that he did it, not to say that he did it. I'm saying the timing of it, of him shutting down his podcast. I mean, he's been having a podcast for about 3 years now, 3-4 years. If I want to be correct, about 3 seasons he's been having the podcast. So, you know, it's been one of the most successful basketball podcasts, in my personal opinion. I think it's the best one out of anyone. You got some good podcasts out there. You got Draymond Green, you got Knuckleheads, you got All the Smoke, you got you got some of the other player podcasts. Is the Jalen Green and Jalen Brunson got a podcast. You know, some of the other players of the past, Kevin Durant, CJ McCollum have podcasts. A lot of these guys are starting to get podcasts, and most of them is because, you know, it's just we live in a society now in a day and age where players have the freedom to do more than just to play basketball all day. I enjoy watching basketball players talk about their podcasts and talking about how they look at the game, because it gives an in-depth insight to the fan base of how the player may be feeling or how, you know, what they be thinking. He's been having this podcast ever since 2023. It's been one of the most successful podcasts, if not the most successful one, as far as a player. So now that he done shut his podcast down, it's kind of a little bit shocking at the timing of it, especially. I enjoy watching his podcast. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy watching, you know, the insight he gives. I enjoy watching any NBA insider what they give as far as the game. So that's what that is. I never thought his podcast was really the reason why he would be playing bad. I mean, of course, that's going to be the rumor, but he was doing the same podcast last year throughout the season when he had his best shooting splits. He had the same podcast when he was, you know, many parts of the season when he was dominating. I mean, he was doing the same podcast every week since that point. I never thought that was really a distraction. As a matter of fact, I thought it was more of a getaway for him. I thought, you know, certain people, they do certain things to get their minds off the game and just be kind of, you know, normal and human again. Like I've told y'all before, many of these players have lives outside of basketball. You got guys who think that, you know, they're supposed to sit inside of a corner and just basically just watch, you know, play basketball all day and dribble basketball all day, and that's just pretty much their life. You know what I'm saying? Just like anybody else has their own job, their own profession. They got stuff outside. You got people that go out to, you know, have a release. They like to go, you know, fishing, or they might like to go play, you know, play video games. They may like to, you know, do something else to get their mind off their job. And basketball is a job. NBA is a job. You're getting paid to do it. I think a lot of people look at it because you're getting paid all this money. It's not a job. You still got to stay in shape. You got to stay in, you know, premium top condition. You got to be able to, you know, make practices. You're practicing. You got off season. You got film session. You got weight room session. You're taking time out your day to do these things to be prepared to do your job and perform on the court. There's a lot of stuff that goes before even touching the basketball court. Before, you know, people don't really even watch or people don't see. As I'll come in, make sure I hit that like button. But that's beside the point. Why he shut the podcast down is basically what his statements were. But I'm asking myself, okay, what was the timing of it and what was the breaking point of it? I mean, he said that he's been thinking about this for a while and it's been in his head to, you know, drop the podcast. Some people's theories think that he was, you know, forced to be off the podcast by the Sixers. I don't think that's it at all. Because, again, the same podcast he was on was with the Clippers, and they never forced him off. I mean, like I said, you can't force nobody off from their regular job. Once they clock in, that's what they do outside of their job is not up to you. So you can't force, if you're an NBA team and you're an employer, you can't force a player to stop doing what they're doing if they're not doing anything illegal. So that idea is out. Nobody forced them in the, you know, Sixer organization to get off the podcast. Another sense is that he got a lot of backlash from the outside public for being on the podcast too long and too much. And he probably fought the fire, and he probably thought to himself, okay, well, we're not doing so well, we're not doing so good, and it's not a good look. Maybe it's a good job, maybe it's a good time to take a break from the podcast. That's a more understandable point. The way PG worded his reasoning, he could have said it like, yeah, saying stuff like, we haven't been having the best season, and I want to take time to get my body back into, order, back into form. And you got a lot of people echoing the same thing. I'm pretty sure in the circles as well. Yeah, I could see that being a part of it. But if the Sixers were doing well, then I don't think he would have shut the podcast down. I think he would still been playing well. I think this is stemming just simply how the Sixers are doing. Again, when you saw his expression against the Bulls the other night, where he was speaking about how they gave up 100-something points, that was an embarrassing. That's probably the most embarrassing loss that I saw the entire season that he had. The Sixers had. So stuff like that will make you think, okay, well, something has to change, something has to give. Because he was definitely, distraught. He was definitely out. He was definitely disappointed. And these guys are competitors, man. I mean, I'm not going to even go back and forth with people who don't think guys are competitors in the NBA that want to win and want to be embarrassed. So I don't think, again, that, I think this loss really was the reason why that he just decided to say, I'm going to take a break from this. I'm going to do something different. And again, this was just on Monday. That episode probably aired sometime last week. And he was thinking about it all this time. He said, okay, yeah, this is the breaking point. I think after this loss is why he did what he did. I don't think nobody forced him. I don't think nobody made him do it. I think he got probably people in his ears saying the same thing. And he probably thought about it like, you know what? Yeah, probably right. Now that we're off of that, do I think that it's too late that he shut the podcast down? Well, before I get into that, I just watched the Sixers highlights against the Knicks last night. I did not watch the entirety of the game. I was busy doing the Clipper game. If you guys have not already, make sure you guys check out the LA Clipper podcast on my playback. All right, we got a lot of people who signed up as members. We got, I think, about 20 something people in the last couple of games. New members. It's a free of charge. Again, no charge, nothing. You get a chance to watch the game, get a chance to be a part of it. So, get a chance to, like, it's kind of like StreamYard. I stream the game for y'all to watch live. I commentate on the game, play by play. A lot of people enjoy it. I bring y'all in for halftime, and I bring y'all in after the game for a little bit if y'all choose to be a part of it. It's very fun, very interactive. I think it's even more interactive than doing the live shows. So y'all come and support y'all boy. Y'all come and support and come in, man, because it's a lot of insight. Y'all get a chance to see my style, how I break the game down. But that's beside the point. I didn't watch the Sixer game last night. I was too busy doing the Clippers, but I did get a chance to see some of the highlights, get a chance to see some of the pockets of the game. And based off of just what I saw in the highlights, what I showed y'all earlier, and the statistics that he had last night, he had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, had 7 turnovers to go, the 8 assists, which is not good. I get on James Harden for turnovers. I'm going to get on Paul George for turnovers. You can't turn the ball over 7 times, being careless with the passing, being careless with your dribble. But all in all, he pretty much, outside of the turnovers, had a dominant performance. He could have even, been even better, in my personal opinion, if he got the ball more. Down the stretch of the game in the fourth quarter, and this is something I've said before about this, Tyrese Maxey took it upon himself trying to take over the game when he really didn't need to do anything like that. He should have been giving the ball to Paul George. I made this claim before that he should be the first or second option on the team. Now, people laughed at it, thought it was a joke, but I'm going to show y'all why in a minute through numbers. But as y'all can just see it through the highlights right here, he looks more locked in, he looks more key, looks healthier. It looks like he's in rhythm. And he just basically came out after, that performance against the Bulls and came out and said what he said. Listen, and this right here, this I'm gonna show y'all a play where I said, okay, yeah, he's playing for a purpose now. But we're gonna get into it if I think it's a little bit too late in a minute. But judging by the highlights and judging by how he's moving on the court, this play right here, you got him asking for the ball. Now, watch what he does and how he's looking to score the basketball, where I'm starting to say, okay, well, yeah, the physicality he gives to Jalen Brunson going into the post. I mean, that's what you call bully ball. That's what you call making a statement. That's what you call making a point. I know people have, their thoughts about PG, and I've been very vocal about it. I've said about, I thought, for the 5 years he was here, he was able to do a lot of good things. I think he's one of the top 4 Clippers of all time, actually top 3 of all time. I think it's him, it's Kawhi Leonard, it's Blake Griffin and Chris Paul is the best 4 Clippers of all time. He did something for us that we haven't had done in the entirety of the Clipper organization. That's get to the conference finals. Everybody's going to say Kawhi Leonard helped us out in the first round, which he did. He definitely did. Without Kawhi Leonard in that first round, we have not gotten past the Dallas Mavericks. But after that, that was Paul George's playoff run. He led the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. He was the best player in the Utah series, and he was the best player in the Phoenix Suns series, even though they lost. In the last four seasons, unfortunately, he hasn't had his running mate, and that's the biggest reason why we ain't won. That's what y'all seeing right now, and it's going to come to a point where Clipper fans are going to turn on Kawhi Leonard as well, that he hasn't been as the most healthiest player, and if he's not healthy this season, they're going to, have a different tune about him. But back to the point, this is the first game that was announced that he had, he was off of his podcast, and you can just see the rhythm he's in. You can see how he's playing, how he's moving on the court, with a certain level of focus, with a certain level of aggression. Y'all see what's going on. So, I mean, that's good stuff. At the end of the day, the Sixers, like I said, they're the 7th seed. They're the 12th seed in the Eastern Conference. I've been watching the entire league. I've been watching a lot of Sixer games as well. I've been watching, games of different teams. I've been trying to, expand my vocabulary. Now I'm playing. I've been trying to expand my different games that I'm trying to watch, and teams. But the whole notion is, and this whole wash thing, and I've said this before, a lot of y'all gotta stop doing that about guys who are washed, who may just be simply hurt, or maybe simply just going through a bad stretch. Y'all jump to people being washed like it's, and I get it, we live in a clickbait era, but I took it upon myself to watch a lot of these games. Shout out to my man Andre, who's a Philadelphia content creator. Me and him talk quite a bit. We talk about the season as well. The Sixers have been going through it, and you ain't really been hearing nothing from him all this season. As y'all come here, make sure y'all hit that like button. But subscribe to my man DFJ Hoops and Andre right there. But basically, the biggest gripe is that Paul George ain't really been doing nothing. He's been sucking. He ain't really been having his best season. He's had probably his worst season in his prime. He definitely had his worst season in his prime, his entire career. We had a discussion about this a few weeks back, and people were talking about the guy was washed after that 2-point performance. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to even get into that. We've seen other guys have 2, 4, or 5-point game performance. Saw James Harden have 5 points in a game. I've seen, Damian Lillard have 2 or 4 points in the game. I've seen other guys who are star players. If you play basketball long enough, you're going to have a game such as that, where nothing just going right. You're having a bad day at the office. You can't hit a shot. You can't stand in front of nobody. You're just in a bad position. Same thing with people in their jobs. Like they just have a bad day at work, and their boss sends them home because they just have a bad performance. Every game ain't gonna be a good game. Every game ain't gonna be a great game, and there's gonna be some games that you just gonna be completely garbage. You shouldn't be on the court. That's all I saw with that Brooklyn game, where he had 2 points. So obviously, last game he not only had 25 points, he actually played 42 minutes. He played more than 40 minutes in that game, affecting both ways of the basketball. As I've said this before, when you play both ways of the basketball, I don't even judge you the same way as a one-way player. You're not expending that much energy. You're not putting the type of sacrifices on your body. So the stats that you put up are on one side of the ball. And you have to actually watch the games to actually understand what I'm talking about. So I don't spend a lot of time with people who don't actually watch the games. But that's beside the point. The Sixers they're losers of 9 straight games. And this is probably Paul George's worst month, as y'all can see with the numbers. Right? This has definitely been his worst month. Now, my thing was, as he said eloquently in his interview, as we all know, he's been going through a hand injury since the month of January. After that Chicago Bulls game, where he had 13 minutes and 9 points, he had a hand injury that game. But before that, him and Tyrese Maxey were on a push. He had 30 points against Cleveland, who was the top team in the Eastern Conference. They won that game. He had a bad game against Denver Nuggets, where he only scored 11 points. The game against the New York Knicks, who he's really been silently doing whatever he wants to do against, had 26 points. They lost that game. He played 43 minutes. Orlando, 25 points. New Orleans, 25 points. Right? 30 points against the Sacramento Kings. Yada, yada, yada. So this is probably his best month where he had as many points and, being more of an impactful player. But then again, that's like I said, he was more healthier. They were losing a lot of these games, but a lot of it came from them having their full team as well, missing 4 or 5 different guys, missing guys like, of course, Jared McCain, missing Andre Drummond, missing who else am I thinking of? Eric Gordon, who had wrist surgery, guys like, of course, Caleb Martin, who was traded, KJ Martin, who was moved away as well. A lot of their rotational players were missing throughout that entire stretch, and they're still finding ways to compete. So basically, like I said, he's been hurt 3 separate times. He came into the season hurt with a hyperextension to his leg. He has a few good performances after that, and he hyperextends his knee again against the Memphis Grizzlies. Right after the Memphis Grizzlies, he starts going on a run again. As y'all can see right here in January, he hurts his pinky against the Bulls, and he goes through a stretch where he's just absolute trash. So the pattern is when he's playing healthy, he performs. When he doesn't, he's not healthy and playing through an injury, he plays like trash. As far as his standards, 14 points, 12 points, 14 points, 17 points, not cracking 20 points. That's we hold him to a higher standard, right? So that's why I'm saying playing like trash. These numbers would be good for role players, but for a guy of his caliber, his pay grade, where we rank him in the NBA, that's underperforming. But like I just want to make a point, when the guy is healthy, when he's playing out on the court, right? 29 points against the Charlotte Hornets, 21-9 against the Orlando Magic, 33 points against Charlotte again. When he starts to play, when he has somewhat of a, has a little bit of a rhythm, doesn't get hurt, then he starts performing at a high level. So as y'all can see against the Memphis Grizzlies, he hyperextended his knee for a second time. After that, he went through a drought for a couple games. And, he actually sat out for, I think, a week and some time. And then he comes back, the first game against Charlotte, 29 points, and then 21-9. They started going on a little bit of a winning streak, beating the Chicago Bulls in that game. So there's 2 going on. One, the guy has not been fully healthy. And 2, playing behind Joel Embiid over and over, in and out, has been an adjustment where he's had to be the third option. But as y'all can see, when he's actually healthy and he doesn't have to deal with Joel Embiid, more times than not, he's actually playing at a pretty high level. Now, I'm gonna get to what I think about him. Is he a person that I look at as a person that shut the podcast down a little bit too late? Make sure y'all hit the like button. Right now, the Sixers are the 12th seed right now in the Eastern Conference. And they are 2.5 games out of the play-in. Now, expectations coming into this season where the Sixers are going to be at least a top 3, top 4 seed, at least in my expectations. But now you got teams like the Detroit Pistons, the Indiana Pacers, Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, and the Brooklyn Nets are all in front of the team that we thought was going to be a top 3, top 4 seed. When they brought in Paul George to come in, they brought him in as going to be the missing piece. Right? That's what Dr. J came in and said in his interview, yada, yada, he's going to be the missing piece. But based off of injuries, based off of them not having team camaraderie, getting hurt at the wrong times, that stuff has not happened. And you can bring in coaching a little bit as well. Guys have not just been able to stay healthy altogether at the end of the day. I think Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George only played about 14 games together. And in those 14 games, about probably half of them, well, all of them, Joel Embiid hasn't even been fully himself, probably less than half of the game. So you didn't really get a chance to have a real connection amongst the 3 players. And guys being in and out of the rotation, being out the lineup, just been having bad luck. And that's why they are where they are. So now that there are 2.5 games in the play-in, you got a lot of people saying they should just sit up and tank. based off of the comments Paul George made and based off of that performance he just played last night in a losing effort against the Knicks, I don't think they're tanking. I think they're going to be going for it. So what you have is about 24 games left. The Sixers are looking to get somewhere in that. I think they're going to probably get in the 10th seed. I don't see them getting into that 9th seed. I think the Atlanta Hawks got that seed a lot on lock, but they're basically having to try to get into that situation. So if they get into the 10th seed again with the Chicago Bulls, what's going to have to happen is that they're going to have to find a way to win 2 games in a row. And in those 2 games in a row, they're going to go automatically into play against probably the Cleveland Cavaliers. So they have to take one step at a time. So against the Atlanta Hawks, if they find a way to beat them, they will be in contention to get into the play-in situation. So you have 2 choices. Do you go for the play-in and get a chance to probably have a chance of not getting a high draft pick? Or do you basically say, you know what, the team is not going to, prevail. They're going to be losing. Our guys are hurt. Our guys are injured. Our best player is not on the court. What's the point? So when people talk about tanking, understand that players don't fall in line with tanking. That's what the ownership does. So the players are not going to go out there and just be like, oh, just go ahead and throw the game away. That's not what players do. They're trying to win. They're trying to win at all costs, especially star players. You tank by basically sitting players down. So what does Paul George have to gain by playing hard and trying to compete and get them in the playing situation? Because that's what he said in his interview. He's trying to give them a chance to be in the playoffs. Y'all saw what he said in his audio video, that he doesn't want to believe that the Sixers don't have a chance. So that's where they're at with it. And not something else that people aren't highlighting. That's called leadership. It's called leadership, which Joel Embiid, for whatever reason, isn't around. Being around his teammates. He's being away from his teammates. I don't really fault him for doing that based off the circumstances, because he's going to get grilled anyway. But Joel Embiid really shown me that he's not a leader. He's not a person that you can kind of rally behind and carry to the promises. And probably why he hasn't had no success getting to the past the second round. Based off of Tyrese Maxey called him out at the beginning of the season for being tardy for different events. Kelly Oubre getting into him on the bench, right? Over a missed assignment defensively, where I think Kelly Oubre made it known, like, you haven't been around for the team at all, and now you want to get on me. That's why I think that whole situation was when they played the Pistons. And then you talk about even just recently with Nick Nurse, what he's going through, having to deal with the injuries and not, this guy's not on the court. It's making him look like, basically he can't coach. Going through like over 30 different lineup changes the entire season. It's been a tough year for Nick Nurse. And it was also his job's on the line as well. If Nick Nurse don't turn around and they don't at least make it to the play, I think he's as good as gone. So if they tank also Nick Nurse's job, he will probably be out of there as well. So a lot of stuff. And Joel Embiid is the forefront of it, where the Sixers, where they're at. And I also realized every time Joel Embiid plays, he's taking shots away from PG. I've been saying it all season. I saw this last year with James Harden. 2 ball stoppers who take the ball out of a guy who's hot. You just don't do that. If you want this guy to be a part of be a part of it when you try to win, you don't ice him out the game and put him in the corner and just say be a catch and shoot player. He's never been a catch and shoot player. He's never been a third option. So I didn't understand that sentiment where people talking about he should be the third option on the team. If you want to say Paul George is moody, if you want to say that, he may have his mood swings, you can say that. But anybody who's played basketball, even played basketball at a high school mediocre level, knows that the man is one of the greatest players that we've ever seen, one of the greatest talents we've ever seen. Has no weaknesses on the court. Can't say nothing about him on the court negative other than, if he misses a shot. And like I've said before, I think people hold him to a standard. They don't hold other players because of how gifted he is. And that's fine, but you can't tell me a person's trash if you're holding him to a high standard. You can say that he's moody. You can say that whatever the case may be, he's going to go out there. That moody motherfucker's going to go out there and just do what he did to the New York Knicks the other night, even though they just lost. He'll still drop 30 on your head. He'll still get off you on the defensive end. He'll still go out there and get you 10 rebounds. He'll still go out there and be an all-around player. And you really can't do nothing, little to nothing about it. That's why so many people in the league respect this game. See, this wouldn't happen. A lot of people have created so many narratives. They've made it, put it in their mind, this guy is a bum. That's what the media has really done. If you really watch the game of basketball, you watch how he plays basketball, he's just a bigger version of Kyrie Irving. But the difference is that he plays on the other side of the ball. And Kyrie Irving has probably the most beautiful game that we've ever seen. But Paul George is, I guess, a bum because of, some comments he done made or, his mood swings. But that's beside the point. Based off what I'm saying, is it too late for him to shut his podcast down? I think that it might be a little bit too far-fetched. I'm going to use his words, that the Sixers are going to win a championship. It's an opportunity for him to really rewrite his wrongs and really clear his name, which I think is the biggest reason why he's doing what he's doing. I don't think Paul George, I don't think he's out on Philly. I think he's out on Joel Embiid. I think he's come here with the expectation that this guy was going to be my running mate and be healthy. And it's just Kawhi Leonard all over again. Except the difference between Kawhi and Joel Embiid is Kawhi is professional. This guy, Embiid, man, he's not professional whatsoever. So he finally gets into the vicinities of Joel Embiid and see how he is. He said, this guy is not the most, he doesn't work hard. Paul George works hard. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. When you play both ways of the basketball at his level, that means you're in shape. That means you're working hard. Every time he gets injured, I see him come and try to rush back. 2 hyperextensions this season and a pinky injury that takes about 6 weeks to heal that you're in a splint for. He comes back every single time, every single injury. With the Clippers, he came back every single time outside of one time in the playoffs against the Suns. So he's not stealing money. So when he sees a Joel Embiid, who, yeah, you're not physically able to play, but your ass can show up for film sessions. Your ass can show up for team meetings on time. Why is our 24-year-old young star calling you out in the same locker room I'm watching? He is observing all of this. And then also, by the way, you're taking away shots from me in the game. So I think he thought Joel Embiid was going to be an upgrade from Kawhi Leonard or somebody that on the same level. He's just not. As far as professionalism, as far as his work ethic, as far as how you didn't see Kawhi Leonard take away from Paul George. You didn't see that. You saw him up and use him and uplift him. They needed each other. So I think personally, this could be a tactic, and it's just my opinion, for him to possibly play well as he's playing, to possibly get moved in the offseason. Now, because now that you got him playing how he played, a lot of people are saying that he needs to be traded. Okay. Yeah, you can be traded, but I'm going to be traded on my own terms. I'm going to be traded by playing at a high level so people can, cash in, can get me. Because if he goes out here and balls out these last 20-something games that get into the play-in and they somehow magically get into the playoffs and they do this without Joel Embiid, his stock just went up. His stock just went up. Because now the guy that you look at that was somehow, so washed and so done, which he's 34 years old, you know what I'm saying? You're still, and you understand something. He's actually at the perfect age to actually really put it all together. I know he's not as physically gifted as he once was with OKC and Indiana. I'm not saying that, but he still, as y'all saw, can score. He can still get by people. He's still elite enough to, be a 3-level scorer. All that. That's all. When you adjust your game, that's all you do when you get older. You adjust your game. You don't rely on athleticism. You start going back to your skill. You start using your scoring. You start using your frame. You start using your shooting ability, your angles. You start using different parts of the game. It's fun. I did it. As I got older and wasn't as fast and could burst by people, I started using my smarts. I started using my angles. I started using my craftiness to, get what I want. I'm still dropping 25 and 30 points, it's just not looking the same, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm gonna end this part with this. When you talk about his presence, I think personally, yes, he's doing it. He's trying to focus on the now, but he's also looking at the future, that he has. This is an opportunity for him to get out of Philadelphia, because the way I see Joel Embiid right now, he's possibly going to need a surgery, possibly. And if he does get this quote unquote surgery, he can be out going into next season. You just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, once again, he was brought over here based off of Joel Embiid trying to recruit him on national television. And they've probably been talking behind the scenes a lot. And Joel Embiid giving the indication that he's going to be ready to go for the start of the season. And that's obviously not the case. So, see, Tyrese Maxey's not on that timeline. Tyrese Maxey still has about 10 to 15 years to compete. Paul George probably has about 2 or 3 more great seasons to compete for a championship. So he doesn't have time to waste around for Joel Embiid to get back healthy again. So if this guy is not going to be healthy, then I'm going to try to get up out of here and go to a situation where I'm going to be, looking to win. So if you want to trade me, go ahead. Just make sure you trade me to a team that's going to compete. So that's what I think this could be. Like I said, the first game of him coming back and playing at the level he played at, they did not get the win, but it sure as hell looked like he was, in my personal opinion, the best player on the Sixers. He was literally doing everything on the court outside of those 7 turnovers. But that's pretty much it, man. I'm about to start this Clipper talk right now, man. Again, if you guys have not already, I'll be hosting the Clippers and Lakers tomorrow on Playback. Please go and subscribe to my Playback. It's in the community post that I post the link, and y'all can subscribe being a member free of charge. Until next time, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull up. Peace. Out of here like